There are artists who draws in few colors. This is a person's mood. There are such impressive artists who draws like poets, compose a quatrain. The artists do the same. The meeting, which took place on a warm autumn day, is unexpected at the hour, and therefore even more exciting. The picture attracted and awakened some nostalgic memories, so unusually clean, and the heat shone from this canvas. And they saw a house, a tree, rain. Paddles sparkled, and the breeze rustled as if in the trees, like memories of caught charms, that moment which flew by and magically hit somewhere deep in the soul. Rashid Kulbatyrov, what else can he do with a man who continues to look at his paintings? Perhaps he awakens all the best human desire.
Для меня, я думаю, для многих является таким, открытием.
For me, I think, and for many, it was a positive discovery, as if fully reflecting his character. If we look at his work, the mood improves. Such cheerfulness appears in his paintings. Pictures are a holiday. This is our inner poetic world, gives rise to such pictures. From color, let's say a good bright color, means that artist has rich fantasies. And if there is a monochrome in two colors, these are nostalgic colors. Nostalgia is already past time. You cannot return that time, but still there is a memory. About all Almaty, I mean. How it started. I remembered my youth. I've seen such trams, such dance floor, and this topic had been developing gradually. Poetic, I do a series with the old buildings of our Almaty. When I was in Paris, I saw the old quarters there. They are still preserved. 100 years have passed. 150 years have passed. Probably being a resident of Almaty, you understand the beauty of our urban stories or city sightseeings. And if the artist, who is already a master, feels and sees the same stories and can bring them to the viewer in the correct language, in the correct intonations, and it is very important. Rashid is doing great. He is really a master of the urban landscape. When you look at the retro series, these are monochrome works on the theme of the cityscape. You begin to doubt that these are paintings. It seems that these are enlarged photos. Moreover, they like those from the archives, because there you can see the Almaty, which is no longer existed. Well, for example, old architectural objects. He is fascinated by Almaty, its spirit, character, and its mood. And for him, there is no greater delight than to draw old buildings that have preserved their history and their aura. But they always have some special note of sadness for the passing time. Yes, the monochrome color makes these works look like old photographs, but this is only at first glance. Here such thin lines and so much air. Here is a special brown color with iridescent colors. These are wonderful masterpieces collected in picturesque encyclopedia of artistic memory. But, and most importantly, these paintings feed us with the mood. It seems difficult to break away from their own memories of the old Almaty through the streets and alleys. Lovely, recognizable corners. In addition, Rashid has a very interesting attitude towards nature. He has a spiritual nature. He paints autumn and winter and spring. He says that his favorite season is autumn. And indeed, we museum professionals know that the most difficult landscape to perform is winter, because it is white on white. But Rashid masterfully copes with this task, and he has always very beautiful, very subtle color palette. When I first saw the mountains, I thought, how is that? It is impossible to draw, because we have steppe edges. We do not have such mountains. And then I made a lot of sketches, about 3,000 or 4,000 works. I made sketches. And in the end, I realized that I just need to love my job, and then it will work out, and then everything will turn out. The reflection of the water is so pure, cold. A bright sunny morning, and here you can see trees that have already become covered with leaves that have turned yellow. This is a state of nature. Sketches are painted and then transferred to large paintings of 2 meters or 3 meters long. I love the purity of color. Here is my mood. Often the viewer asks, and to what style, direction can this or that picture be attributed? Perhaps the work of Rashid can be compared with the works of Russian Impressionists. I will explain why. The fact is that this is the same stroke of pure color. This is the same dynamics of the position of the strokes. This is also a major mood. In the transfer here is the color palette itself. I probably would have referred him more to the work of the Impressionists. And I would call him, the Impressionist Kazakh steppes. Rashid Kulbatyrov grew up in the village of Akjar, Aktobe region. The artist calls this place beautiful and the best on earth. Sandhills shimmering in gold up to the very horizon. Salt marsh. And if you turn your head to the other side, it is an emerald oasis, with a river flowing along mud brick houses. If it were not for all these, could he so gently draw and decorate the scenes of his paintings with such different color? My mother worked 40 years in the library. My childhood, one might say, was spent in the library, flipping through all the time, from morning to evening. But that time, I was not able to read. I loved flipping through these colorful albums, how beautiful they were, and these perhaps motivated me to this art. There was the Kazakh Pioneer newspaper, I remember it. I also sent patriotic works there. I received a letter that your work was accepted, but could not print them, because there were a lot of such topics, but it was a stepping stone for us. Rashid Kulbatyrov always remembers his teachers with some trembling and delight. If we can read the signs that are sent to us, if we can listen to the words, if we can observe and see and love and feel. Then I met a great artist. We had such an artist, Buravlev. He is a war veteran. I remember his works. They were the most beautiful works. We just learned from it. How beautifully he painted. I remember the first time I saw a palette knife. We used to draw with a brush, and the palette knife is a technique. This is also a very difficult technique. You must also feel it. Not everyone can use palette knife. I remember he showed me his work. In general, we were delighted. I also had a teacher, Pyotr Petrovich Kalinichenko, may he rest in peace. He graduated from the Kharkov Art Institute. Rashid Kulbatyrov graduated from Aktyube Cultural and Educational School, Almaty Pedagogical Institute named after Abay. He worked as a designer in the company Power Consolidation, Republican Festival Shabit, and the first success, numerous exhibitions in the Ablayхан Kosteyev State Museum, museums of Astana, Aktau, Atyrau, Istanbul and Rome. His works are represented in private collections in Germany, France, the Czech Republic, Holland, Turkey, Canada and America. The works of Rashid Kulbatyrov are in the funds of the Ablayхан Kosteyev State Museum of Art. He is so hardworking, so greedy for work, that serves an example for many artists. He works so hard. For him there is no limit, there are no topics for him that he would not undertake. Everything turns out well for him in professional way. I think this is a criterion of professionalism, when you can get a touch of color and tone with one stroke. His works are so fascinatingly fragile that even you have to look at them with an absorbed attention. They are beyond description. Is it possible to describe the smell of rain, footprints in the sand, or a light wave that touched the coast, fogs, sunrises, a drop of dew on the grass, sound of the sea? Rashid Kulbatyrov has a unique manner of transmitting highlights, midtones and the light. He skillfully conveys the state of the atmosphere, its variability, subtlety of colors, transitions, how he uses paints, pigments, enchanting with his own manner. He improves technique, studies nature, the movement of air, and it is difficult because watercolor is both painting and drawing. Watercolor. I think this is a very difficult technique, watercolor. Depends on the person, if he is so musical inside. He is an easygoing man, he likes watercolor. It is from the heart. If you work hard, then the picture gives its energy. Many ask me, how do you make the sky, let's say? You simply do blur. 2-3 colors are mixed, it turns out so unusual. You get such a color and transitions. I always listen to music. From music you always take a lot, and listen to the classics and our national dombra. Most of all, I like the topic of zhelyao, steppe, yurts, genre work in general. It seems to me that these household activities perhaps are already going away. Now there is urbanization everywhere. And in his works, not the past is described. He creates in his own way, because his works, creativity, is always a holiday there. In life it is not so beautiful, and in his works he creates his own world, his own celebration of life. The artist has the privilege. He draws what his soul is longing for, and what lives in his imagination, his genetic memory. Ethnographic paintings about the traditions of the Kazakh people. Here the land. This is a holiday in which close people live. There are no dark tones in these paintings. They are always multicolored, colorful as a steppe play, like the life of a nomad, filled with light and love. The sound of bells on horse harnesses is heard. The dancing dresses of girls flash like tulips. How does an artist achieve such poetry? Does this mean that it is beyond our comprehension? And can the artist himself explain this? Actually, this is what is defined by the concise word talent. Yes, and inspiration, and a special device of nature. Rashid Kulbatyrov has all these.
когда в детстве с бабушкой часто вот в гостях были.
In childhood, my grandmother and I were often on visit.
В наше время может не сохраниться, я видел такие необычные.
I saw such unusual shashpao in KazArt.
По-казахски, да? Они вот когда
When they go, these grandmothers create a jingle. I remember often and try to show that time in such pictures.
вспоминаем часто и стараюсь вот в таких картинах показывать то время, но по
When you read the stories and books, get inspired and create such historical works.
исторические, этнографические работы.
Рашид пишет больше, наверное,
Rashid draws not with his hand, although his hand is the hand of the master, and he paints more with his heart and soul. This person subtly feels the theme and then, in the end, splashes onto the canvas. That is, if we are talking about nomads and looking at these works, we understand they are descendant of nomads. That is, he knows not by hearsay what it is. These are the traditions that may have been transmitted to him from his grandmother and grandfather, and he really feels through the heart, through the soul. To see the sea, you need to have a friend like Rashid Kulbatyrov. A friend invited the artist to show him the sea, and he saw it and returned there again and again. Needless to say, Kulbatyrov, one can stand near the sea and feel its splashes and waves which are splashing along the coast. And seagulls and couple in love, this is especially important. So the artist focuses on love of everything dear, to native places, to people. Sunrises, sunsets, steppes, mountains, rays of the sun which are not visible, but which in a strange way fill the canvas. He falls in love with the sea and the mountains, once and for all.
Я не знаю, там такое место, это как меридиан.
There is such place. It's like a meridian, Atlantis, mostly such flat landscapes.
Потом он мне пригласил в море показать. И увидел там такое.
Then he invited me to show the sea, and I saw there is a sea, and I had the same feeling, like the first time I saw mountains.
И вот получилась серия такие морских.
And now I have a series of such sea themes. Then I organized several exhibitions, in Aktau, then in Astana.
Мы знаем, что Айвазовский.
We know that Ayvazovsky is a brilliant artist who paints the sea. He is a great master of world level.
А я вот увидел в этом море, оказывается, тоже.
And I saw in this sea, it turns out you need to delve into, you need to love it. I thought about this picture.
Мне уже задумана была вот эта картина.
Couples in love go to the shore of the Caspian Sea.
Пары выходят на берег Каспий и там чайки. Иногда вот.
They are gulls, sometimes swans swim straight. I fed several times with my hands, it's amazing. In these landscapes, of course, a man appears, and he appears quite regularly. The people that Rashid portrays, they live a normal, everyday life. They do not pose for the artist. That is, it is like a stopped moment. There is both color and color, composition, nothing to add or detract. He manages to achieve these natural shades, natural pure. Due to these, his paintings are so fresh and light. A wonderful panorama of mountains stretches from the window of his workshop. He likes such a lively picture. He gets up at 5 in the morning and he is charged with energy of this magnificence, takes a brush and draws. And the whole life, in its beautiful form, is next to him in these colors, in the sounds of music, in the creation. In this he is all, Rashid Kulbatyrov, with his wonderful gift to share his joy and increase it.